All right, there's a lot going on behind the scenes today because we also watch this on YouTube. Karen spent like 15 minutes trying to get my hair to sit down.
Yeah, in the back.
Yeah. Note to self, don't ever do a last-minute mall haircut because sometimes it just won't work out.
I mean, I wouldn't blame the barber for this one.
Even when we got nothing to talk about, there's nowhere I'd rather be. 'Cause there's something about you and me just sitting around talking Scheetz.
All right, here we go. Just to give you a little bit of background, again, welcome to is this the 6th or 7th episode? We've lost count. We've had so many so far.
7.
7?
Lucky number 7.
All right, awesome. And they said it wouldn't last.
7 is my favorite number, so
All right.
it better be good.
We just finished having just a fantastic meal. It was kind of like a collaboration between everybody bringing stuff and putting it all together, and the family all just had a fantastic meal of ribs and chicken and kind of a rice stir-fry thing and garlic bread. And I don't know, it was like a buffet at the Mayfield Inn dinner theater.
And what did you bring?
My appetite.
Yes, you usually do. You can count on that one.
Baby's been fed. We've got a little bit of time.
Yes, for now.
Had to get rid of your dog.
Yeah, she was a problem today again.
Honey, she literally attacked my toes again and tried to rip them off for some strange reason.
The French bulldog.
As soon as we get in this room, she gets like all agitated.
Yeah, she gets excited. It's the energy. She's like, oh, another episode. Yes.
We should never talk about, well, you should talk about the next episode when you're doing this one. But again, we got a lot of questions we've got to ask, and we're going to get a professional dog trainer in as the Pet Expo is coming up in a couple of weeks, and that's going to be a really fun episode. But
yes,
yeah,
we're holding out for the Pet Expo episode to save us because right now, honey, she had to go.
She did have to go.
Yeah.
She's actually being moved to another house even. We
Well,
can't even have her here.
We're not rehoming her. she's being moved to another house on the property with.
For the length of the podcast.
Yes, just to be supervised. She's going to doggy daycare for an hour.
It's called doggy timeout.
Yes, she's going to put in timeout.
She's having one.
But speaking of all of the excitement,
yes,
we have something very exciting to talk about to kick off the show. You have an announcement to make. Spoiler alert, you're no longer unemployed.
No, I'm Funemployed.
Funemployed.
Funemployed, ladies and gentlemen. Very excited to announce. Well, before I get to where I'm going, I'll explain how I got there.
Yes.
So I think most people that have tuned into this podcast are aware that after 35 years, on May 10th, I decided to call it a career at Kissin' Country. And at that time, I said to everybody, I'm not retiring, I'm rewiring. But everywhere I go, people ask me, how's retirement going?
Congrats on the retirement. People even ask me, how's your dad enjoying retirement? I'm like, well.
But it doesn't matter because I think the challenge was that after 35 years of doing one thing and saying you're not doing it anymore, everybody just assumes, well, you're done. You're done, right?
You're put out to pasture.
Yeah, exactly. And again, we talked about priorities at the time. My priorities for myself. I mean, getting up and doing that show just wasn't working. It wasn't working for myself or for Karen. After 35 years, you do start to feel like, is there anything else to accomplish, right? And so that was why the decision was made. And then after that, you go, okay, well, I know that I want to do something else, but I'm not exactly sure what. And, I still want to balance huge quality time with Karen. She'll question if that's happened yet, but we're trying.
I think you're spending time.
Yeah.
Has it been quality? I don't know.
We've done some traveling.
Yes, that's true.
We've had a chance to enjoy our granddaughter. But you're right. A personality like myself, almost needs another purpose, right?
Yeah, you don't do amazing when you're just relaxing. You're not amazing at relaxing.
Right. Yeah. I'm looking for the next thing. So I've been dipping my toes in some stuff since I left Kissin', and sometimes you have to do things to find out that you don't want to do things.
For sure.
Right? Like you need to experience things. So, you do this, you do that, you go, this probably isn't exactly what I meant to do. And from the very beginning, first of all, the one thing that a lot of people said is you got to do a podcast. Check.
We've done it. We're here.
Here we are.
Yes.
Okay. And then a lot of people said you got to start working the thing you love the most. And they were telling me this, and I knew this too, is helping others and working with charity. So I think the reminder that I had with the Stollery a few weeks ago with naming the courtyard after me just reminded me of just how valuable that kind of stuff is in my life. So I'm doing it.
Drum roll, please.
An opportunity has
Oh, that's not a good sound.
an opportunity has presented itself, and I am working with a charity called Alberta Dreams. And Alberta Dreams has only been Alberta Dreams since 2022, but Alberta Dreams began as the Rainbow Society in 1986, so they're coming up almost on 40 years. And what the Rainbow Society has done is it's given dreams to very seriously and chronically ill children for, again, almost 40 years. And ironically, when I first started at Kissin, one of the very first charity I ever worked with was Rainbow Society.
Mm-hmm.
They had a media night, and myself and Bruce Bowie went and we dressed up as Kenny and Dolly. Guess which one was Dolly? I apologize to Dolly, but
Yeah.
and I hosted a bunch of events for them and did a bunch of things for Rainbow Society. And now here we are, almost 40 years later, and it's come full circle. And I'm going to be the director of Fund, F-U-N, in all caps, Fund and Community Engagement for Alberta Dreams, because this charity has done incredible things for almost 40 years, but really quietly under the radar.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people haven't heard of them, but they've done some amazing things over the years.
And what was it about Alberta Dreams specifically that, besides the history that you've had with them,
Right.
there's all kinds of charities that you've helped over the years, but what was it about that particular mission that called to you?
You know what? I think that I like the challenge of it. It's a smaller charity. Again, kind of underdogs. There's literally 4 of us that are working there, but it's 4 people that are working very, very hard to try to accomplish a bunch of amazing things. And I love the fact that we can work with chronically and seriously ill children and try to make their lives better because, in some cases you can help one of these chronically ill children and you can set them off on a completely different path in their lives, right?
They have some hope and something that has shown them that there's so many great things in life.
Right,
Yeah. 'Cause
right.
It's not easy.
No, so ironically, and I remembered this when I talked to Matt, who I worked with, Matt DeBurs, he reminded me that almost 30 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, his sister that we love dearly, Alex.
Yeah.
Alex was she was a young girl that was diagnosed with leukemia, and their family got a dream from the Rainbow Society. And Matt told me about this and how they went to Disney and they went to SeaWorld and they did a whole bunch of things there. And it was a huge thing for their entire family. And Alex is doing great now. She's
She's a paramedic.
30-some years old. She's
Yeah.
a paramedic and she's doing great. But it was such a huge difference in their lives. And not every dream is a trip to Disney. There's things they helped a young girl. And I'll get more into it as the time goes on. But a young girl live out her soccer dreams, and she's become a soccer player in an electric wheelchair, which I never even knew existed. But they gave her a dream, and it's now taken her to different heights. And there's so many different things that happen. But this charity, like a lot of charities, needs the money to help make these dreams happen, and they get way more requests every year than they can ever of course, make happen. But we're gonna make more happen. We're gonna tell the world about Alberta Dreams, and we're going to have events. We're going to just do all sorts of things. So we encourage you to follow their Instagram page because there's going to be a bunch of cool things happening. And, of course, if you can help them out, by all means. And we'll be asking for that. But I'm really excited. I feel like we talked about it on this podcast that I've kind of been a little unsettled since my change.
Yes, for sure. You need a purpose, and more than just a podcast.
Right. Well, and this is a big part of it, too.
Yeah.
And we'll use this podcast to help
Tell stories and share the mission for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's happening. So there you go.
Well, congratulations.
Funemployed.
I think it's pretty awesome that you get to kind of change your career at
Right.
this point in your life. You know,
Right.
we've talked a little bit in previous episodes about how when you're 16 or 18 years old, you're forced to make a decision about what you want to do for the rest of your life. And you made that decision at 18, but now 35 years later, you're getting to pivot. And as people, we grow and we evolve and we realize what we like and what we don't like. So I think it's an amazing opportunity for you to be able to, it's really cool to be able to try something new.
Right. Try something new, but something I'm also very, very comfortable with.
Yeah, something that you've done before, but you've never got to do full time.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's, no disrespect. Like Jack and Matt and working on that morning show and doing all that stuff was absolutely fantastic.
Mm.
But there was no better day for me than a day when we were helping others with the charity stuff. So now I'm going to get to live every day like that. And Alberta Dreams is going to give me a lot of flexibility and a lot of time to continue to spend time with my family and do the other things that I'm hoping to do in my life as
Sleep
well.
in a little bit.
And the podcast, right? For example. So
Yeah.
anyway, shout out to Ruel, Alicia, and Larissa, my 3 coworkers now, and we're just we're going to do some amazing things, and I just can't wait. So we're starting now. So
Yeah, you can feel the excitement from you for sure about this new role. It's great.
awesome.
But you don't get to go to Disneyland with every kid.
Maybe not all of them. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, that's the exciting news for me. Now,
Yes.
you talk about the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Let's talk about another charity right now. Our Carter, who is very reluctant to come on the podcast.
Yes.
We've tried.
Yeah, I think that he wanted us to beg him a little bit more than we did.
You think so?
I don't know if we could have got him on or not. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's so interesting because people talk about him and how he started off on Kissin' With You when he was a
Yeah.
very little boy.
Right.
He would call into the radio and do Carter's Question, and he was never like shy
No.
about that. And he
No.
sang on the Big Valley Jamboree stage. He sang a Brad Paisley song. So
At like 6 years old. Yeah.
yeah. So he's not shy, but
No.
he's I don't know.
He's a hard nut to crack sometimes.
Sometimes he is.
I think
yep.
that's the way of putting it. So
Yep. does.
anyway, and I took advantage of him for so many years. I can't take advantage of him anymore.
No,
right?
no. And we're here to talk about his stuff without him having to come on, which is ideal for him.
Okay, so he's an Edmonton firefighter. We're very
Mm-hmm.
proud of that. And we're also very proud that him and I think there's 4 or 5 other guys that are going to be taking part in the rooftop campaign for muscular dystrophy. And it's starting on Monday, February 24th. So whenever you're listening to this. And it's funny because, not that but anyway, I made a suggestion. I said, guys, you know what? Maybe you should start out without any camping gear and just go out there and, because they started with a tent the last few years and things like that. And then when the weather was like minus 30 for the last couple of weeks, I thought, oh boy, they're going to kind of hate me.
Maybe we should set the scene of what it is.
Yeah.
The rooftop
Sorry.
camp
Yeah, let's
out.
do that.
Yeah. So they've done it. I'm not sure. Again, if we had the expert on here, maybe.
It's happened for many
years. They
years.
start off on the rooftop.
Paul McGonigal was the
Okay.
very first firefighter that started it in Edmonton, and now it happens all across the country. But it
Cool.
started here
Yeah.
with Edmonton firefighters. Paul's an amazing man, and so that's where it started. Okay,
Yeah, and they live on the roof of a fire hall for a few days until they raise enough money to come down, essentially.
right.
So a group of firefighters goes up. They previously had little sort of tent shelters
Yeah.
that they started in,
Yeah.
and you said, no,
yeah,
this is not we need to make this. We need to make people more desperate to give you money.
yeah, exactly.
No shelters.
That's correct. And they agreed, and so they were going to do it. And then, the weather was looking, and now the weather has turned out to be, but it's still not ideal.
Overnight
It's
with
not-
wind on top of a fire hall, it's not comfortable.
No, it's still not like plus 20 overnight,
No.
right? So, Edmonton Rooftop Campout.ca is where you can go to help out this amazing thing. And shout out to them. They've done some crazy great things on Instagram. If you want to see some things on Instagram, just go
Just
to
a bunch of if you're interested in firefighters being goofy, which
Yeah.
is actually a great genre of online content. It's they were very creative
right.
this year.
And
Yeah.
sometimes even showing their abs.
There is some shirtless firefighters. So
Yeah.
if that's not a reason to go and support the cause and donate, and muscular dystrophy, just an incredible cause. Our great friend Piper
Yes.
is involved as well.
Yeah, and I saw an interview on Global when she was on there with Liam, who's the guy that's kind of the spokesperson for what's happening this year. And Piper was amazing. She talked about all of the benefits and the things, and they've got a camp they go to. And I know if Carter was here, he would tell you because he went to the camp, and he said if people saw that camp and what was happening there, they would give to this cause because it's amazing. And they got a bowling thing they do, or Carter shot a 250 or some crazy thing, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Again.
He's always helping out, which is great.
Yeah, which is
And
awesome.
Our friend Piper, it's so interesting that we're talking about her now with the rooftop campout, but she's also, I think, part of the reason why you realized that you love to give back and you love to work with children and chronically ill children because you've worked so much with her and her family.
For sure. I absolutely. When I think about Alberta Dreams, I think about Piper and children like her and their families, and exactly. So
And she, context, if you don't know, Piper's like famous to us and
Yeah.
famous, but she's
Yeah.
a young girl who has muscular dystrophy.
Yeah.
And her family, you've known her since she was.
Yeah. Wee
Yeah.
little. She's still wee little.
Yeah, but
But-
she's doing amazing.
but
things.
she's not-
going to
yeah,
school. And,
yeah. Her size is not her.
No,
It's-
no.
She's feisty, and she's going to Nate, and it's an amazing story in her life. You know, basically they put her muscular dystrophy. They've stopped it based on the medication and things like that have happened. So so there's a couple of things for you. We're just talking charity, and that's one of the venues of this podcast is for us to be able to do it, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty awesome. All right. Well, if you're watching on YouTube, and I hope you do get a chance, please do watch on YouTube, because Baillie works so hard on the video part of this stuff, and you can watch it. And I understand sometimes, you know, it takes more time to do that, but they'd see you wearing red today. Is that
Yes,
for?
I am trying. Yes.
Is that for Team Canada?
It
The
is.
big
I'm,
hockey win?
I'm still pretty fired up.
Yeah, I know it's been a while here, but I don't know if I've ever been more nervous / excited for a hockey game than that final game against the United States.
Yes, the Four Nations Cup, Team Canada versus Team USA in the finals last Thursday.
Yeah.
It built into something so big that was like bigger than hockey.
Yeah.
We were like fighting for our country at that point. It
Yeah,
was,
literally.
It was so
Yeah.
intense.
Right.
Yeah, the build up of the anthems and so many like people were. I've never seen more patriotism in Canada before ever on Instagram. There was Canada flags in the streets. There was a lot weighing on this game and our boys.
And we're not, we've said this before, we're not going to go, we're going to try to stay out of the political realm on our podcast, because there's too much of that going on, and this is supposed to be a release for you. But
there was no avoiding it.
What was
with this
happening?
one.
No, what's happening in the United States with a certain guy? Just like literally every time Canada hit somebody, I pretended they were hitting him. Like it was just it was the weirdest thing. But I just had this. It's like
it felt intense.
It felt so intense. But
Yeah.
Connor McDavid scores the winning goal, as we know, Edmonton Oiler, and so much pressure on him, and he puts so much pressure on himself. And we saw it last year in the Stanley Cup Finals if you watch the Amazon special, it's like he's on the bus, and it looks like he looks like he's just ready to not cry, but he's just he's so hell bent on doing good and winning.
Yeah, he really wants to win.
And so it was just so great.
Or if you watch the drop on Oilers Plus.
Right.
Plug for my friends, my
Yes.
coworkers.
Absolutely, you're right.
But you get a behind the scenes look at the inner workings of Connor McDavid and just how much he wants to win with the Oilers, and then it seemed to translate for Team Canada as well. I remember when the NHL came out with this new concept kind of leading up to the Olympics next year, and in the place of the All-Star game, I was like, well, how hard are the players going to try? You know, it's mid-season. They're tired. A lot of these stars are gearing up for the playoffs. Like, it's going to be, they're not going to try that hard.
They're also playing against teammates on their
Often.
NHL teams, right?
So
Like,
there's so many inter-team situations. I was like, you know what? It's just going to be fluff. Like, I don't know if they're not going to want to get hurt. It's going to be, it was intense.
yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it was kind of scary, especially the first Canada USA game that kicked off with 3 fights. I was like, okay, I was wrong. They care about this. They care about this. But Connor McDavid, back to that, having him score that big overtime goal to secure the victory for Canada just felt right.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful moment.
It felt almost scripted.
Yes,
because it needed to happen that way. And it's funny because when they scored, there was a lot going on in this house, and you guys were here.
Yeah.
You weren't even in the room.
I didn't see the goal.
You were changing a diaper?
I was changing a diaper, and it was an urgent situation.
Yeah.
And I will never forget now, knowing that when Connor McDavid scored the overtime winner to secure the victory in 2025, I was changing a diaper.
How did you know that happened?
Well, I thought either that had happened or someone had come into our house with a gun,
Yeah.
because the way that you were screaming was not, it was like an emergency situation, and the way that you screamed when I was in the other room, I knew it was Connor too.
Yeah.
That was the most interesting thing, is like, that wasn't a goal scored by anyone else because of the sheer excitement you had. It could have only been him.
Yeah. I would have loved anybody else to score,
Yes.
but just wanted him to score so badly.
In like a weird way, it took away some of the pain from last June.
Yeah.
Some of the pain from last June, the Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final against the Florida Panthers, with Connor McDavid playing against the Tkachuk. Something about it didn't fix the pain. It didn't take it away, but it was like, okay,
Yeah.
You know what? We won this one. Now we look forward to the Oilers playoffs.
That's a
coming
good
up.
point. And
Yeah.
to mention Carter again, if he'd only be on the show, but when we were watching the game earlier in the game, he said, I don't like this. This reminds me of the Stanley Cup
Yes.
Finals. It was not enjoyable because
No.
you're so tense.
Yeah.
Like it's not enjoyable. He says, this is not fun.
No.
Like this is just not fun.
Yeah.
But it got fun.
It
like
did.
we
It
got
was
the
fun
payoff.
to win. It was fun to win.
As long as you get the payoff at the end, right?
It's
was
always
fun.
worth it.
So
Yeah.
anyway, very proud of our boys.
Yes.
And yes, that was so good. So good.
Yep. Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, they got to play together.
Yeah.
Everything about it was really well done.
All right. Awesome. Okay. Well, Londonderry Dodge. How much do we love Londonderry? They love the podcast, so we love them. And I get a chance to, I'm driving now a big, giant black Dodge Ram. Like this thing is just ridiculous. I feel like
you look like a cool bro on the road.
king of the road, man. I
Yes.
just absolutely love this thing.
Yes.
But how excited are you about what you're driving?
I'm pretty excited. Londonderry Dodge was kind enough to set us up with a 2025 Jeep Compass Trailhawk.
Trailhawk.
Which
Yeah.
means it's for off-roading.
Yeah.
Which I don't do a ton of, living close to downtown Edmonton. But I like how it looks,
Yeah.
and I like how it drives. It is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Leona loves it. She's safe in the back, which is awesome.
Yes, everything. Yeah, it is a perfect small mid-sized SUV for our family, and it's fancy.
Yeah.
Like I've never had a new vehicle before.
Right.
So we have driven 10 to 12-year-old vehicles and kind of bought used. And so it is just, it is amazing how much vehicles have developed in the last 12 years. I
Oh,
didn't
yeah?
know. There's like a giant screen, the steering wheel is heated.
Yeah.
There's Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah. There's Wi-Fi built into the car, which
Yeah.
is just crazy. So I can work on editing the podcast while we drive home tonight.
Right.
Not while driving.
And then if Renato, executive producer, wants to climb a mountain, he just puts it in mountain mode.
There is a bunch of different modes. There's snow mode.
Yeah.
There's sand mode. I don't know if we're ever going to be able to. Maybe we go to the Hoodoos. It is a stunning vehicle. White, black stripes, red
Yeah.
detailing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful vehicle.
Shout out to Londonderry.
Yes.
Mitch, Jamie, and everybody there. We'll find you just the right vehicle for you, and they'll give you just a fantastic deal. Okay, we got to do a shout out to somebody. This is my great niece,
Mhm.
your second cousin, technically,
But my bestie.
but your bestie.
Yes.
Her name is Kenna.
Yes.
She's 14 years old, right?
And she is the Talking Scheetz super fan.
Yeah.
We saw her at a family birthday party recently, and she was like, okay, I have all the questions. You know
Yeah.
what? I think everything you're doing is amazing. And I'm like, this is exactly what I need to hear. Thank you, Kenna. But she wanted to know, when do you record? How does it go out? Like
Yeah.
she wanted to know it all. And she listens to us often while she's getting infusions
Right.
for her Crohn's. She gets like hours long infusions, typically at the U of A hospital. And so she's sitting there for hours, and she's listening to Talking Scheetz.
Right. So
And-
shout out to Kenna. Hopefully her day's going well.
Yes, and if a 14-year-old thinks it's good,
Yeah.
that's like they are harsh critics. Like Kenna's so cool.
Yeah.
She knows what's cool.
Awesome. Well, you know what? We love her, and we're happy she's they're finding a way to kind of control this stuff. That Crohn stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
it was a long journey for
it's-
her.
Yeah, exactly. So for her and her family. So anyway, we just we want to do a shout out. We promised we would, and this gives us an opportunity to maybe let us know. You can go to our Instagram page or our Facebook page or anywhere. Where do you digest Talking Scheetz? I don't know if
Yeah.
digest is the right word, but consume.
But like at the hospital is an interesting one. Do you listen to us while working out? If so, turn it up. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's crank it up. Crank out another set. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if we're the best workout podcast, but maybe.
Probably not. But anyway, yeah, shout out. And again, let us know where you're listening. And you are. We see a bunch of downloads and subscriptions and things like that, which is a really good deal.
Mhm.
Okay, where are we going now?
We've got our questions.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, questions from our social media followers. I asked last week if anybody has anything that they want to know. I did include that maybe Carter would answer them, but yet again, the firefighter, he had fires to fight.
Yeah. He is not a first responder in this case.
No, he did not for us. but-
Okay, got it. All right.
All right, from Heather Webbs. Oh, Heather Webbs 16 actually. We
Okay.
have, what is your favorite place to travel?
All right. Interesting.
Do you want to start?
My favorite place to travel. I was going to say the United States, but it's kind of challenging now.
Yes.
With everything that is going on. Of course, I'm a huge Disney.
Yes.
Disney is favorite place on the planet, whether it's Disneyland or Disney World.
Maybe you have to. Well, you might be going to Tokyo Disney.
Tokyo Disney.
So
yeah.
maybe you have to branch out into the other Disneys. You'll be learning French for Disneyland Paris.
But that is probably my favorite place to travel, right? Obviously, and I'm guessing it's yours too. That's probably pretty boring.
Yeah, I do love. I think about Disneyland every day. When I can't sleep, I close my eyes and I imagine being in Disneyland. Or sometimes I watch TikTok lives of people going on rides. Like someone's on Space Mountain and I watch it and I pretend I'm there, which is not normal. But I will say, I think my true favorite place I've ever been, not that I've been frequently, was Italy, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I haven't been, or I probably would say Italy.
Yeah, my executive producer and husband, Renato's family is from there. He lived there for a while as a kid, and we got to go back right before the pandemic in 2019 and visit some family and travel all around Italy. It is the best place on earth, truly.
Yeah.
The food, the people, the beaches, the weather, the wine, everything about it. It's perfect. Yeah.
You mentioned the food, I guess. The pasta would be just, I can't
pasta
even
and
imagine.
pizza. Like
and laid back, right? Laid back. Like they kind of, the thing I've heard about Italians is that they eat late at night,
yes.
right? They kind of, dinner is like time for everybody to just
family dinner,
and lunch is just kind of a time where everybody just gets together.
Yeah, often shops are closed in the middle of the day in the small town, especially where his family's from. Things were just completely closed in the middle of the day because everyone went home to have lunch with their families and nap often.
we might talk about this further at some point, but tell everybody what they do in that small town. Funday, is it called?
Fundy, yeah.
Fundy, with the Sundays at the graveyards.
Yeah, one thing that we got to experience, especially going back, Renato bringing me for the first time, we went to the graveyard to visit some of his ancestors and some of his family members that had passed, and I wasn't exactly pumped about that.
No,
it was a Sunday.
It doesn't sound
one of the last days of our trip in Italy. It's a beautiful day.
Right.
The beach was calling, and his aunt and his uncle at the time were like, "No, we have to go to the graveyard," and I was like, "Okay, you know what? We're gonna go. Obviously, pay respect to the family." But it was awesome, and it was so fun. It's completely different than typically what happens here, but it's like a hub on Sundays for people to meet up. Everybody brings flowers and snacks, and they're chatting and they're hanging out at these mausoleums. It's very architectural and rock, it's beautiful, and everyone is. It's a much more light vibe, and people are happy to be there, and people are spending time in the graveyard on the Sundays, bringing snacks, drinking wine again, flowers.
They feel like they're just hanging out with their...
It's like a coffee shop.
Yeah.
It's really, really beautiful. And we got to see a lot of his family members and where they're buried and things like that. And it was, really, really cool. But definitely didn't expect the graveyard to be the hot spot.
Right.
But it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Your mom's family, Ukrainian Russo Orthodox, they have graveside services once a year, and usually in the spring or summer. But everybody comes and then they bless all of the graves of people, and it's whatever, teach their own. But I just I believe that obviously the people that you've lost are still with you, wherever you are. But it's a way to remember them and pay tribute and things like that. So it's it sounds like a pretty cool thing, kind of like I guess Mexico does with the Day of the Dead.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Same idea?
much more celebratory versus solemn,
right.
Just yeah.
Right. Okay, go on.
So I guess bury me in Italy.
Okay, got it.
Is the takeaway from that.
All right.
Nat Wainwright asks, what is the best part of being a mom and best part of being a grandpa?
All right, you go first.
The best part of being a mom, there's so many things, but I truly think the best part is just having a new built-in little best friend. And I think that the older she gets, the more it's been like that, where we just hang out and have fun every day. She's getting so responsive to when you're talking and when you're playing, and so we actually just I do all of my favorite things, but then she's there.
You're listening to Taylor Swift, and
exactly.
she's dancing.
We're watching the Wicked movie, and she's starting to dance to Taylor Swift, or we're going for a walk. I love to go for walks, and it's just so much fun to have her there, and more fun to have her there. And so I think that that's been the best part. There's so many amazing things, but the best part is just having a built-in bestie.
All right. The best thing about being a grandpa, there's obviously a million too, but I mentioned this before, but I think it's just basically the fact that you get another shot at it, right? You get another shot at it. Your kids grow up so fast, and you get another shot at being a part of that whole journey. And this time you've got more time, hopefully, and you also have the perspective of understanding that it does fly by. So you just soak every last minute of it in. So I think that's it. Yep.
It's a good gig for both of us
For
so
sure.
far.
All right.
Caden Rivers asks, what podcasts do both of you listen to?
Okay.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm really into the Severance podcast, which I've talked about the show Severance on Apple TV.
Yep.
Big fan of it. But what they do is after every episode, Ben Stiller, who is the executive producer, brings on, and Adam Scott, the lead actor,
Yeah.
they bring on different guests and they talk about the episode that just came out. And so it's so fun to watch because that show has so much going on. Like you have mentioned when we've talked about it.
Yeah.
It's so fun to hear them break it down and like behind the scenes stories about the actors. And then they have callers come in and ask questions. The Severance podcast is just, it's fun to watch the show and then listen to the podcast afterwards.
Okay.
But another podcast I really like, which is local, a friend of mine, Paul Swanson, and his wife, Danny, do a podcast called This Is Why I'm Crying. And they are both teachers for some background info.
Okay.
And they share stories from other teachers and about their careers, just about teaching and the kids and all of the different, they say traumas and life things that they learn along the way from being teachers. And we have a teacher in our life.
Yeah,
which is Carter's wife, Leslie.
Yeah.
And she works so hard and the stories that we get from her, it's a job like no other. And it's a very important job, but there's a lot of humor in it as well.
Yeah.
And Paul and Danny are they're great hosts and they're very funny. Paul is also a really amazing photographer and does a lot of the photos that you see on the Edmonton Oilers account. So he's multi-talented.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I don't feel like I need to listen to that podcast because when Leslie comes home from school every day and tells her stories, I get a podcast every day. And it's usually about an hour and a half long.
I do think that maybe she would be a great guest on Paul and Danny's podcast because she is an amazing teacher and she loves those kids. But
For sure.
There's nobody humbles you like a grade 4 kid.
No. All right. As far as my podcasts go, probably my number one is Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. I personally believe Conan O'Brien is one of the comedic geniuses on the planet. And he brings in a guest and he does a great job. And he's got some co-hosts that do a good job as well. I love Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. I see Conan, according to the ads, is going to be hosting the Oscars this year. So he'll do a good job of that. And the Smart List one, which, I mean, again, is just, it's very, very, very popular. I think each one of those guys I've heard, like Jason Bateman.
Charlie McAvoy? I don't know. I've not listened to it.
No, not Jason Bateman, the Canadian guy. I know him. Come on, Chris. He's very well known. And Sean Hayes.
Okay.
Who was on, I really am good at pulling this stuff out. I can't believe I can't think of the Canadian guy.
I don't know who's on it. I actually don't.
He knows who he is, and he's really good. He's got a great voice. He's a great actor, and it'll come to me. But anyway, Smart List is brilliant. But I've heard rumors that each of them makes something like $40 million or something
from the podcast.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is pretty crazy.
And I'll get it. I'll get exactly who he was.
Okay.
Before this is over, it'll come to me.
Okay, we'll get there.
I'll just blurt it out. Anyway, Smart List is fantastic.
And a friend of our last question, friend of the show, Morgan Black.
Okay.
She would like to know, I think this is for you specifically.
Yeah.
What is your favorite book you have read in the past year?
Oh, boy. I've started to read...
Okay. I put this on there just to stump you at the end. We got to celebrate your new job and things like that. I thought we should humble you a little bit.
Alan Mitchell, Low Tide. He's got a book, and it's all about all of the draft picks in the Edmonton Oilers. And I've gotten like 3 or 4 chapters in on that.
Okay.
So,
and when did you start it?
It's really good. Yeah, exactly. But when I'm traveling here coming up, I'll maybe
okay.
read a little
You'll
more.
have a lot of time on the plane.
It's a very good book.
Yes, this is no shade to Low Tide. This is just, you're not a avid reader.
There's been a lot of books bought for me, and I just,
We keep trying.
Yeah, I blame my ADHD. I don't know if that's a fact, but it's hard for me to bear down.
I do think, though, that my form of ADHD, actually, when I get into a book, I can't stop.
Yeah.
Like, I have to finish the book that night. Like, I will read a book, not so much anymore with a baby to take care of, but prior, in a previous life, I will read a book in a day because I get so locked into it. So maybe you just got to keep pushing forward.
Okay. So that you turn your ADHD into OCD.
Maybe. Something like that.
Right?
I zone it in.
Okay.
I focus it.
Okay.
My favorite book, I've read a lot of books in the last year, not to brag, but
Yeah, you have.
I think that one of my favorites is called Crying in H Mart, and it is a book by Michelle Zauner, who is, you're not going to know what any of these words mean. This is going to be confusing to you.
Okay.
Michelle Zauner, who is in a band called Japanese Breakfast.
Okay.
She is the band Japanese Breakfast, and she also wrote an amazing book called Crying in H Mart, which is a biography about her, but also about her mom, who passed away from cancer, and it's really sad but beautiful, and also all about food at the same time. Anyway, I would definitely recommend Crying in H Mart if you want to cry while reading a book, but I think it's the best book I've read. It's about her mom.
What about the book club coming up? You got a book club coming up.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
I'm calling it the Beef Dip Book Club.
Okay.
Because, again, Carter's wife, our dear sister-in-law, Leslie, has started a book club. She says, you know what? I've tried for so many years. I want to read books, and I want to have a club. And she's got a big turnout coming.
Yeah.
So the Beef Dip Book Club has read a book called Rom-Commerce.
Okay.
And I just finished it. I don't want to give away my opinions on it in case any Beef Dip Book Club members listen to this podcast. I'm going to share at the book club how I felt about it. But Rom-Commerce was a lot of fun.
I hope all those book club members are listening, and maybe I should read the book and come and join.
You could be a surprise Beef Dip Book Club
That
member.
would be a real surprise.
If you finish that book before the book club next week, then you can come.
That would be a miracle.
Yeah.
Will Arnett, and if
gosh.
only if you're on YouTube, you realize that I used my phone and Googled it. But
I was wondering what you were doing. I was
Will
like, this
Arnett-
is kind of rude. I'm talking about my book.
Will Arnett, Sean Hayes, Jason Bateman,
Okay.
Smartless.
Will Arnett has the great voice. That he would.
He's got the
maybe
great.
I should
That's what I
listen.
said. He's got the great voice guy. Oh, it's really well done.
Yeah.
They have such great chemistry, and it's really good. All right, there you go. That's the questions.
Yeah, we have more. We'll periodically ask, and then I kind of went back for some questions too. So if you didn't get your question answered, you might next time.
Okay.
We
Got it.
only have so much time.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, though. Again, give us your questions. Tell us when you're listening and how you're listening to the podcast.
Yeah.
We'd love to know that, too, right?
And if you're still working out, do another set. Turn up the treadmill.
Might get a couple of...
My dream is to be a Peloton instructor, so I'm trying.
Yeah. You were talking about watching Severance. I haven't caught up. I got 3 or 4 episodes to watch now, so I got to get to that. But I'm stuck on a show called Silo.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've heard of it.
It's... I don't know if I can describe it, but anyway, it's 10,000 people are living in a silo because the world has ended, and there's a whole bunch of things that happen. I don't know. It's one of these shows, and like Matt that I used to work with used to think, you watch the crappiest stuff, and this show might be really crappy. I might be the only one on the planet watching it. I don't know.
Never heard of it.
But I can't stop watching it.
It sounds like Under the Dome. Is it like that one?
Yeah.
Is it a Stephen King
I
novel?
loved Under the Dome. It was a novel. But I don't know who wrote it. But,
Okay.
But it's anyway. There's a lot of twists and turns in it, but I don't know. It could be really crappy, but I'm hooked. So it doesn't take long to hook me.
No,
on.
you'll watch anything.
But that's why, you think a book would hook me too. But
I think you gotta.
a book doesn't hook me, but television does.
I think. Have you ever finished a book?
Yes.
Yes. What book?
I don't know.
I think you know what? I think that maybe the goal, maybe not for next week, but maybe the next solo episode is for you to finish a book.
I did. I used to read books.
Okay.
There was books when I would read, like when I was a teenager. There was like a book, and there was a series of them, and they were like kind of like Little House on the Prairie stories. I don't even remember what they were called, but I did read them.
Okay.
I remember reading books once.
Okay, one time. Perfect.
Next week, the Pet Expo.
Yes.
Because we're going to be having a very special pet edition of this show.
Yes, and this might be self-serving because we really need her.
Yeah. We've been told that this is like literally the Connor McDavid of dog trainers. Her name is Kristen McKenna, and she lives in Wetaskiwin. She's going to make the trip here in the studio. She's going to answer some questions, going to tell us what we can expect when it comes to the Pet Expo, which is the next weekend, March 9th and 10th at the Expo Center, and it's just going to be absolutely fantastic. So I think that's it. I think I don't hear I heard the baby crying a little bit.
There was some dog barking and some baby crying like mid-episode, but they've silenced out now, so the crew upstairs has sorted that out, hopefully.
They're doing their thing. We just thank you so much again. However, whenever you're listening to this, we really, really do appreciate it, right?
Yes. And keep running.
Keep running. Keep running. Download, subscribe.
Yeah. On YouTube, like us on Instagram.
Do all of those things.
Yeah.
And we just really do appreciate your support, as far as I can tell.
You keep us running in this basement.
I'm going to read a book now.
I hope so.
It'll be a short one.
Even when we got nothing to talk about, there's nowhere I'd rather be. 'Cause there's something about you and me, just sitting around talking sheets.